let's start by hitting the Wayback Machine, because I just love your story and how you got started and how you became, one of the biggest stand-up comics that are out there. And I know, your dream was what, to go on Johnny Carson?
Oh, I started ventriloquism as a little kid. I was 8 years old, got my first dummy. And, it was easy starting out because you're a little kid and it's cute making a doll talk. And, but when I graduated from high school, I'd already started doing Kiwanis clubs and a few corporate gigs and stuff. But my goal when I graduated
was this in Texas?
Yeah, Richardson. Yeah. Oh my gosh, don't even talk about football. Forget it. Anyway.
We'll get to that.
Moving on.
Speaking of dummies. Okay, sorry. My bad.
What's happening there? Anyway, so I had a 10-year goal when I graduated from high school to be on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. And I went to Baylor University, and being a senior was the best 3 years of my life. So I was there too long. But I finally graduated in 86 and moved out here in 88. And again, doing shows all those years, never had a normal job. That was it.
Yeah.
And there's, long story short, finally, after many... I auditioned for The Tonight Show with a guy named Jim McCauley, who booked all the comics on The Tonight Show for Carson. I auditioned for him 9 times. 9?
Wow. When you say auditioned, was he watching you in a comedy club?
He would come to the club. He'd come to the club and see me. The worst was I moved out there in September of 88. And I've been doing my shows forever, so I was really good at doing shows. But I was not used to the comedy club audience, to the real audience. I was doing, like I said, church banquets and stuff, very forgiving audiences.
Yes.
But when you follow Seinfeld at the Comedy and Magic Club in Hermosa Beach, you damn well better be funny.
That's what you were doing?
Oh, hell yeah, yeah. So, and at the Improvs, the Melrose Improv, eat you up and spit you out if you're not funny. Mm-hmm. And following the biggest guys in the business. And here I was with a doll, telling jokes and making, multiple voices at once. Who cares? And after following those guys and not doing too well, I realized if I'm going to go toe-to-toe with these guys, I'm going to have to be just as funny as they are. Mm-hmm. And then the stigma of being a ventriloquist was, that was bad enough. I was a prop comic. So I was fighting an uphill battle and many doors slammed in my face. But let me get to The Tonight Show thing.
Sure.
So The Tonight Show, Jim McCauley came and saw me and said, oh, my gosh, this is great. You're ready. He'd seen me a couple of times before, like in 86. And he said, you're ready. Well, this will be great. So you're going to be in TV Guide and the whole thing.
TV Guide.
And so it was 2 weeks before Christmas. It was going to be like on I can't remember what day it was, of 88. And I went, flew back to Dallas, bought the $2,000 suit, called all the relatives, all the friends, family. And he said, I'm going to come see you the night before just to give you a couple of tips to make sure you're ready. I mean, everybody knew I was going to be on, everybody. So he came to see me at the Comedy and Magic Club, and he left before I was finished.
Oh, no.
And Roseanne Barr was there. And I don't care what you say about Roseanne Barr. She was as sweet to me as any person on the planet. She goes, nah, Jim just leaves early. This was when she was up and coming, too. She was like getting ready to do her third spot. She goes, nah, sometimes he leaves early. You were great. It's going to be okay. And then the next day, when I was supposed to tape The Tonight Show that afternoon, Jim called me. He said, Jeff, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. You're just not ready.
Oh.
I'm like, what?
Get out of here.
So that it had been 8 years since I'd set that goal from high school. And he said, so literally the rug ripped out from under me. And to make matters worse, the person that they put in my place to take my spot at last minute was a girl named Merry Christmas, and he booked her because her name was Merry Christmas.
Not because of her material.
No, she wasn't a comic. She was just a girl named Merry Christmas. And that's who took my place. And talk about
lump of coal. That's what that is.
Yeah. And you know what? Those things are great in life, though, because you are either the kind of person that says, F you, I'm going to come back and fight, or, wow, I need another job. So which kind of person are you? So I just got angry and kept doing shows. I auditioned for Macaulay 9 times, got 8 no's. No. Finally, on the 9th time, I said, okay. And as you said earlier, I heard you say earlier, it was a Friday night. It was a dream show. Friday night was Carson's night. It was a Friday night. Yeah. The other 2 guests were Bob Hope and B.B. King. The audience was hot. I went out there, and Freddie DeCordova, who was the show's producer, he said, during rehearsal, he goes, don't you have another dummy besides Peanut was the guy I was using, a little purple guy. And he goes, don't you have another dummy? I go, yeah, his name's Walter. He goes, yeah. Do you have Walter with you? I'm like, yeah. He says, put him behind the couch. I said, for what? He says, I just in case. In case what? In case Johnny calls you over. I go, this is my first time. No comic ever goes to the couch the first time. He goes, just trust me. I think Johnny's going to love you. And sure enough, did really well at that time in my career. I look at the tape now and I kind of cringe. But had me, I did really well. And then the stage manager waves me to the couch. And you can see on my face this look of like, I got to go talk to that guy? And as Letterman called it once, it's like talking to the guy on the $5 bill. What am I going to say to Johnny Carson? I got, how's the family? What am I going to say?
Right.
So I go over there, I hemmed and hawed.
Real quick, was Bob Hope sitting on the couch as well? Because
no,
the guests would
Bob
stay,
Hope.
right?
He always says, I got to go. I got things to do.
Okay,
yeah,
so
he was gone.
Okay.
B.B. King was sitting there, though. And I have a great picture of B.B. King sitting there and Ed McMahon sitting there and Johnny and Walt. But anyway, Walter was behind the couch.
Yeah.
And I pulled Walter out and I said, Walter, you know where you are? He goes, yeah, I don't give a damn. It's a Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. Well, la-dee-da. And he looked at Johnny and he goes, oh, that's my wife's first husband. Yeah. And he looks at Ed McMahon. Remember the Publishers Clearinghouse thing? Yeah. He looked over at Ed McMahon and he goes, don't you have some envelopes to lick? It's that kind of crap. So I just picked on him, and Johnny loved it. And, I went back 5 times. It was great. 5
times.
It was fun, yeah. So
what was that moment like for you when you walked back through that colored curtain? Though?
After that first time, I walked backstage, and my agent was there, and he goes, your life is never going to be the same.
No kidding.
Yeah, and because that was at the time where that late night show, when you did well, your career was off and running. And
on a Friday night too. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
So just real quick, who were you going to be on with? Had you not been bumped by Merry Christmas?
I don't even remember.
You don't remember that?
No, talk about a low point. Look, when you're that age, how old was I? That was in 1990, so I was, 30, 20, I can't do math, 28 years old. So, if you hadn't been married, if a parent hadn't died, if a sibling hadn't died, I had really had nothing really bad happen in my life. That was literally just the career-wise, of course. It was the lowest, most depressing, terrible thing. It's like getting ready to go to the Super Bowl and somebody taps you on the shoulder right as you're walking on the field and goes, no, you're not going to.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern for free.